In this discussion, I show you how I found the missing part of the image that led me to assume there were two objects docking on each other in this Hubble shot from late December 2025 with the that was edited with the Larsen-Sekanina gradient filter. Now, in the world of forensic image analysis, the greatest breakthrough often begins with a confession. I was wrong, which is the case with that. Now, scientists will tell you that this image is solely for reading the gas, and they're right. However, there are details in that gas that are waiting for us. So, let the discovery begin. I bring you what scientists either overlook or they see it but are obligated to submit for security briefing. That goes with all big telescope sightings. And that data either gets edited or becomes classified. Now, if you want to see more of this type of content, then smash that notification button, my friends. Subscribe and like the video, because your like enables the algorithm to show it to more people. That's how YouTube works. Now, my friends, we are onto something massive, because this object, as you are about to see in this discussion, is not only gas jets, but let me just quickly introduce myself to you before I go any further. My name is Azure. It's a pseudonym. By day, I am the abstract painter, Kipades. By night, I share a name with a flower, Azure. And I'm performing forensic extractions of star maps and astrophotographs of interstellar visitor 3I Atlas. If you are looking for the science behind this object, then I would recommend that you look at Dr. Avi Loeb's YouTube channel to get up-to-date data and the science behind that data. Because what I bring you here is raw data, the crime scene, so to speak, of the stars. So I'll continue. Forensic extraction of star maps is no easy feat, making my previous studies necessary to revise. And I'm so glad I did, because those first images of July and August 2025, I believe, contain all the details we need to know in order to put together a complete picture of the physical structure of 3I Atlas. Which brings me to another point, that in order to understand a 2D image, you have to feel it in the 3D. So just recently, I built a physical prototype. It's small, of 3I Atlas, based on my forensic data. Now, there's another one in the pipeline with much more detail, much more accurate structure. So I took that prototype and made a series of photos. Here they are. I then shot them in the late afternoon sun, and they got this beautiful outer space impression. So back to the Larsen-Sekanina gradient filter Hubble image of late December 2025. What an exciting discovery that was for me, because the details were too tricky to digitally extract, you see. So I deciphered them through a series of sketches into physical artworks eventually. Here is a dry medium drawing over here, and on the other side is a oil painting on canvas. Now, all the detail you see in those artworks are correct, except for the two separate objects performing that docking maneuver. Now, it was the gap between those objects that influenced my assumption. You see, it's all dark there, so it's separate. That darkness separates them. While what I now recognize is a result of data loss during the layering process when applying the LSG filter. So recently, while prepping my last video, it suddenly occurred to me while peering into this early Dobsonian power August shot that I remembered where I had seen the shapes I see here in this LSG filter Hubble image from late December. Such details can easily be overlooked. However, my brain pieced the puzzle out and voila! Because the image compression defects kick in at a certain magnitude, further focus is obstructed. So for reference purposes, I made another physical sketch for you from the Dobsonian shot to give you more precise detail of what's actually going on there. If you look at a protuberance you see over here in the Hubble shot, I'm going to call that protuberance a double tray. And now you'll see that double tray in the Dobsonian shot over here again and over here in the sketch. Now, there are two of them, one above the other. You see that in more detail in the Hubble shot of late December. This one here. The top one, the top tray, has 12 spheres stacked tightly together in geometric symmetry, and they are covered in a gas. Then, just below this double tray are structures that descend like stairs. You see them over there, but they are not stairs. My friends, we are looking at extraterrestrial architecture here. So how on earth can we understand what we are looking at? It's just going to remind us of things, and we need to watch that we don't get carried away with imagination and we don't jump to conclusions. Not so. Let me know in the comments below what you think you see over here. So let's take a closer look. See this sketch over here. It shows the bottom tray with the spheres in it. While I was sketching this, I actually wondered if it was possible that this is a separate entity, just that little section over there with the 12 spheres in it at the bottom. A probe of sorts that lands on this platform, okay, gets filled up with gas and then flies off again to do its mission. I mean, look at it reminds me of an insect of sort. It looks like a face there. I'm just saying, you know, I'm reading something I've never seen before. Let me know in the comments what you see over there. Does it look like a face or a contraption? Do you think it's possible that that could actually be happening there? Notice in the LSG image how the gas covering the spheres in the top tray appears to flow downward because of the tilt of that tray. Now in the Dobsonian image it's actually facing us, but we can see it just slightly tilted like that, and then the stairs come down, well, those stair-like objects come downwards. So it looks like the gas flow would be flowing over that, and then you've got at a 120-degree angle underneath that, you've got that other tray of 12 spheres, the one that's got that like face thing on the front, and that's transferring the gas onto that again. And then the front of that face runs downwards towards the anti-tail. Interesting, right? Now, the angle between the bottom tray and the top tray, one could say is 120 degrees, which is where I think Avi Loeb got the idea or made the measurement of 120 degrees. But now that the fog is cleared for me, I wonder also why this gas would be subject to gravity, because obviously if it's running downwards, there must be some type of gravity there, not so. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Now, it could even make sense if, say, 2 or 3 of these honeybees contraptions come in for a top-up, and then while they're doing it, Tony Scamato, who's manning the Hubble telescope at the time, takes shots, and then the scientists are ooh-ahing over the possibility of 3 or 4 gas jets that might add, you know, this whole thing might add up to some technological. Next, we follow the structure that reaches back beyond where the gas is flowing over those trays. And there is our next clue. That black space, my friends, between the body of both structures, that appears to divide them into two. Now, in my current analysis, That is none other than that massive cavern that houses the fissure where the gas comes out, what scientists call the gas jet that operates within the nucleus. I think it's important to note that in this early August 2025 Hubble shot, the nucleus is not active, okay, because it's dark. And while in this late December 2025 Hubble shot, the nucleus is active, it's bright. You see the difference. Now, the nucleus is what emits the antitail and always points toward the sun. The antitail always points towards the sun. However, these images show the same data of a structure that carries the gas or processes the gas on its way to the antitail. We should keep in mind now that the object is spinning and tumbling. Okay, so in this case, that would be the front. It would be spinning. See all those protuberances, how they would move. And it would be tumbling at the same time, you see. So we get to see then that sometimes the nucleus is not facing the sun, and that the gas is self-illuminating and highly reflective, or both. The gas renders the antitail always active, while the object maintains its non-principal axis rotation, which means that it's got this oblong kind of a movement to it, which you see very nicely in Ray's astrophotography. He shoots a beautiful GIF of 3i Atlas, where you see inside that gas, you see this dynamic of movement. And that is as a result of these protuberances which come all through our atlas, which you see very nicely in this Hubble shot. So all this about the nucleus and the spinning and all that, we assume this because the antitail has always been on. It's always there in all the shots. There's always an antitail. But the nucleus appears off sometimes. Then we look at this August 2025 Hubble image, and we can see the location of other jets. I've detected 7 fissures, or what scientists call jets that emit the gas. The fissure for the main nucleus, which is the cavern behind the nucleus. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because if you look at this full frontal image of 3i Atlas, the Dobsonian image, and you look along the side to the back of that is the cavern. But inside there, in the Hubble shot, inside there, you can see the vertical fissure. You see that over there. If one zooms into that, you can't see that on, you can't get that kind of detail on the video, but I'll just explain it to you. When I zoom into that, I can see a faint projection of something wavy there, which I would then maybe assume would be the gas. And that's why I'm saying that the gas comes out of that fissure. Also, in other images that I've seen, the gas actually comes out of those vertical and horizontal fissures on the other parts of the body. So I'm assuming that that's what happens in the cavern behind what I call the nucleus. To the left-hand side of that, you see that box-like structure. Now that is always white, covered with the gas. That's why I'm thinking that the gas comes out of the fissure at the back inside the cavern, and then it gets transformed into that white luminous stuff that we call the gas. And of course the whole area around there, because it's the origin of the gas, that in turn is the nucleus. But there are other jets around the object. So now back to this image. What I find fascinating about it is the detail that surrounds that nucleus. We get to see a structure that leads down toward where the gas becomes the antitail. Now, this structure has a specific architecture to it, no doubt about it. Look at the sketch that I made of it, because it's difficult, as I said, because of the image compression defects and the focus difficulties. I can't extract that information, but I can see it. And so I taught myself how to draw it, how to actually see it. I mean, initially it was very difficult to get what I saw with my eyes make my hand do it. And the psychology behind that is because it's completely unknown to me what I'm drawing. But I eventually did. And this is it over here. So take a look at that, because that is the structure that flows down towards the antitail, that carries appears to carry the gas. Finally, I give you a glimpse here of another video discussion that I'm busy with, where a 3i Atlas sighting of Ray's astrophotography, a top view shot, resembles the outline of a turtle. In First Nation experience, even currently to this day, that is called the great turtle who came from the sky to bring life on earth. This for me opens the possibility of an ancient storyline recorded in rock paintings and seen in associated rock formations of First Nation inhabitants of both Australia and Brazil. The Brazilian one dates back 25,000 years. Now we have to keep in mind now what's happening is that our modern brains are being rewired in real time. That's what I've been experiencing by actually sketching this. Forensically extracting the data with a photo editing software is one thing, but when you actually engage your brain with your hand, you are bringing it into the third dimension. And that's what I find very interesting and exciting as a process and a project, because I am basically teaching myself how to give formation to structures that we don't have in our solar system, so to speak. So I would say that just as the First Nation people of South America couldn't see the Spanish ships when they went to South America, you know, they saw part of it in the mist, but they had no idea what they were looking at. That's the same as us with 3i Atlas. However, I do believe that in time, you know, images like my own and others, we're going to make a picture of this thing. So stay tuned. So thank you for watching, and remember to like the video to make it visible to more people. And if you think someone will benefit from this data, then please share and subscribe to be notified of the new content. I'll see you on the next one. In the meantime, may the turtle be with you.